Today, after nearly 6 months, the results of the Senate Republican audit of Maricopa County ballots are out. Senate President Karen Fann and Senate Judiciary Chairman Warren Peterson presided over the presentation of the findings by Florida company Cyber Ninjas. The result? The audit found President Biden did indeed win in Maricopa County. However, they say there were problems with how the election process was run. Cronkite News reporter Rob Winder has been following the hearing.
Senate President Karen Fann began the presentation asking for people to have an open mind.
What you're going to see is exactly what it is, the truth. And those numbers were close, within a few hundred. But what you have not seen and not heard yet, which is what you are going to hear right now, what you have not seen and you have not heard is about the statutes that were broken, how chain of custody was not followed, how we had a number of issues, which is why people question the ballots and the elections.
What followed was a number of detailed presentations of the process the various audit groups went through to come to their conclusions. Some were head-spinning, including the explanation from the group that did signature analysis for early voting ballots.
Okay. In our case, the anomalies, we discovered 2,000 permanent.
While it wasn't the focus of the presentation, leaked early drafts of the report stated that Cyber Ninja's hand count of the ballots matched almost exactly the official tally from Maricopa County. In fact, Cyber Ninja's tally showed a wider margin of victory for Biden by a few hundred votes. Former Arizona Attorney General Grant Woods said he believed the audit proved the election was sound.
They proved that our elections were run well and that the count was accurate.
Woods commended county and state election officials and poll workers for how they conducted the 2020 election, especially under the difficulties of a pandemic. In Phoenix, Rob Winder, Cronkite News.
The auditors say some of the problems they found include duplicate voters and some votes from individuals who were deceased. During the presentation, Maricopa County, who conducted the election, tweeted fact checks and rebuttals, saying in many cases that the companies who did the audit just don't understand how elections are run. Outside the state capitol, dozens gathered to hear the results. Cronkite News reporter Payton Muse shows us what's going on there.
People started arriving at the Capitol early this morning. Many here just to grab a seat for the presentation. Others wanted to make sure their voices were heard.
I've suspected that elections haven't been real for a long time, and I think a lot of Americans and Arizonans feel that way. They feel their vote doesn't count. There's a lot of disenfranchisement right now. People aren't even going to show up to vote next year, I fear. So we want free and fair elections. I think that's something that everyone as an American can agree on, and that's what we're looking for. And regardless of the results of this audit, regardless of what this audit tells us, we're asking for secure elections.
The election audit confirms Biden did win Maricopa County with an additional 363 votes in the presidential election. The mood here is kind of quiet. At the Capitol, Payton Muse, Cronkite News.
Arizona Democratic officials gathered this morning at the Maricopa County Supervisor's office to share their thoughts on the Arizona election audit before the results were announced. Senate Minority Leader Rebecca Rios, House Minority Leader Reginald Boulding, and Maricopa County Supervisor Steve Gallardo shared their distaste for the whole process. Rios said the audit was an embarrassment for the Republican Party. Gallardo agreed, saying it was a waste of time and money.
Our elections were safe, secure, and accurate, and Donald Trump lost Arizona, period. There is nothing else we can do, nothing else that any of the consultants or election experts can do to change the minds of those folks that refuse to accept the fact that their candidate lost.
Boulding stated that this was purely an exercise by the Republican Party to capitalize on people's uncertainty. Arizonans are fed up with all the chaos and misinformation.
Are launching a new campaign coming out against the audit and changes in voting laws. The group Republicans for Voting Rights says this commercial will air during the Cardinals football game, as well as on Fox News, CNN, and MSNBC. Here's a clip.
We have to tell people the truth. There's no evidence of fraud and that Donald Trump lost the election. If you aren't willing to speak up now as a Republican, when are you going to? You can't worry about your electoral prospects because we may not have a democracy by the time that you have a re-election.
The group says the video was put together to urge Arizona Republican leadership not to enact new voting rights restrictions in the state.